Okay, so over the course of the last year, I've decided to familiarize myself with the superhero genre of movies. It's one I'd avoided all my life as I kind of thought it was pointless, mindless slop. I was wrong. There is some slop in there. There are some real filler things in there. But I was convinced by a friend to surround myself or indulge myself in the world of Marvel, more specifically the MCU, as it's sort of the biggest cinematic universe around right now.
Ever since Disney killed Star Wars. I'll never forgive them for.
I've seen most of the MCU movies now. Consequently, yesterday I went to the cinema and I watched Spider-Man Brand New Day, the last film before the film I am so excited for, which is Avengers Doomsday. Safe to say, expectations were very high. And today, we're going to talk about what those expectations were. Were they met? How am I feeling about Doomsday? And really, we're just going to be going through kind of all of the notes I made while watching it. There's not necessarily going to be any sort of order. Well, this thing happened in the movie first, we're going to talk about it first. I kind of wrote things down as I was thinking about them. So we're gonna get into it and we're gonna get started. As I always do, I have my page of notes here. Let's start off with this. This was kind of the first time we've seen a grown-up Spider-Man. One of my biggest criticisms of Tom Holland's variation of Spider-Man was that, not physically, but more so socially, he was just a bit of a wimpy guy. He had that real, Mr. Stark thing going on. It really kind of bothered me a lot because I thought, you're such a badass, but you're kind of such a pussy at the same time, even though you'd kick the fuck out of me. You know what I'm saying? That problem I had with Tom Holland's Spider-Man was obviously not helped by the fact that Tom Holland is quite a small person. He's like 5'7", 5'8", or something like that, but even in interviews he looks quite small.
He's not a big guy like me.
Whereas in Brand New Day, Tom is big. He's obviously buff as fuck. I'll try and put a picture on screen right now. My search history is going to look a little bit gay now. But he's filled out so nicely and he's become a real man in the role. And with that comes a much more assertive social presence. Even if that's not reflected necessarily in any massive changes in the writing, I think merely his physical presence changes the dynamics of the scenes he's in and the room he's in as Spider-Man. It's not all that obvious in the suit, but in the moments where he's shirtless, he's jacked. He's jacked. This is not a high school kid anymore. Nowhere near. I mean, he actually makes a joke later on about having to stretch because he's not in high school anymore. And I think that was a nice self-reflection on how different the character looks physically. Also, he has a nice haircut now. He has the kind of curtains thing going on, whereas he used to have that crap little haircut. I'll put that on screen as well. Okay, it was horrible. Personally, going into this movie, I was of the opinion that the greatest Spider-Man of all time was Andrew Garfield. But to be honest, I think I'm a bit nostalgia blind, and I think Tom has taken it now. Tom is Spider-Man now. This movie has certified him as the Spider-Man guy, even though he's brilliant at doing other things. This movie was also shot a lot more kind of grown up. I'd say a movie guy will appreciate this film a hell of a lot more than maybe the previous Spider-Man movies, or even most of the previous MCU movies. This was shot very cinematically, and it was very, very cool. I gotta be honest, before watching Brand New Day, I rewatched No Way Home, which is gonna get its own video, because I think No Way Home was one of the most disappointing movies I've ever seen. Totally boring. And I think Tom Holland was totally outshone the moment the other two Spider-Men appeared, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. I think they just stole the whole show. Obviously, it was a good bit of fan service. I didn't like how uncreative the story was. I didn't like reusing all the old Spider-Man villains. I did like seeing the other two Spider-Men come back, obviously, because they are of such high quality. But it really put me off Tom Holland as a Spider-Man actor. But this movie really brought me back and did more towards Spider-Man for me than any of the previous live-action movies. It's ultimately, it's a really, really, really good movie. It's a nice movie to watch. One of the downsides I found was I thought the villain reveal was a little bit meh. I'm not too on board with Jean Grey as a villain. I liked her a lot more before she was unmasked, as she felt like this real unstoppable force. When they were sort of kind of breaking down the concept of her in the movie, I thought, yo, how are they actually gonna beat this person? She's so OP. Okay, there were some kids like screaming outside. We had like a 20-minute break from the recording. I've put some sea salt spray in my hair now. We're now back. Okay, where was I? I wasn't huge on Jean Grey as a character. I think I might have to see the movie again to really appreciate her and some of her dialogue. I understand the story and everything, but she seemed a bit of an anticlimax. The reveal seemed to kind of ruin the tension a little bit for me, as she's just some little girl. I'll be really interested to see how they incorporate her into future MCU movies. She's obviously gonna be a part of Doomsday if Tom is, I'm guessing. I mean, she's so powerful, it would be insane not to use her. What I did think they did well was making her seem totally unbeatable and unbelievably overpowered, and then transitioning that to her being beaten. I think she was beaten in a really, really good way, without making her previous OP status kind of irrelevant. She would still, like, fuck up almost everyone. I think the fact that Tom Holland has this natural webbing going on and that he's going through another life stage of the spider is so cool with the black eyes. And I thought it might be a symbiote suit thing when I went into it, but no, it was so much cooler. He's developing the natural webbing. He's got the heightened senses. And the way the movie makes him deal with these changes, I mean, not needing the web shooters or dealing with the extreme awareness of even the smallest noises around him, they make him deal with it in such a realistic way, and they give him so many struggles with it to the point where I think, yeah, I think I would have that problem, or yeah, that's a really realistic struggle I hadn't even thought of. Like when he first tries to use his natural webbing, he like does it, but then he doesn't know how to turn it off, so he like empties the tank of his natural webbing, like, and it goes everywhere. That's so realistic because, of course, he doesn't know how to turn it off. He struggled so much to turn it on. Why does he think he'd be able to just stop it whenever he wants to? That being said, when he does start getting used to the natural webbing, whenever he swings from a building, he goes like, web, stop, and he like actually says that. That bothers me. That annoyed me a little bit. It did ruin the flow of the MJ carrying scene a little bit for me. It pissed me off. And I think the whole section of the movie that was about his physical changes contained some really decent philosophy about accepting the changes the world around you is going to make on you. Even though his changes came from within, I think there's also decent philosophy on that. I think it's meant to represent sort of it's like a literal version of the emotional and social changes happening to him as he becomes a man. It's sort of a physical way to acknowledge the coming of age within him. One of the negatives of this movie, I thought there was some, as I like to say, why are they even here characters? Characters that I thought were cool to see, but I wish had had a much bigger part in the story, as I thought they were of such a high quality. And the first of these is going to be Scorpion. Scorpion, I can't remember the actor's name. I'm so glad he was in the movie. And I think it was some of the highest moments of the movie were when Scorpion was on screen, but then you just don't see him again. I wish he had been in more of the movie. I wish his character had been maybe similar to that of like a Punisher or something like that, where you take this sort of villainous guy. I know the Punisher's a good guy, but take a darker character like Scorpion and maybe enlist his help later on in the film, and maybe show a bit more of him trying to deal with the problem of Jean Grey in his head whenever she wants to be. I really liked those moments, and there weren't enough of them. I felt like that about Scorpion. I felt like that about the Hand Group, and I felt like that about Bruce Banner. I thought the whole Hulk thing was pointless. I gotta be honest. I like the inhibitor wrist thing. I thought the whole Hulk fight was pointless. I understand why you use Banner, obviously for the namesake, and obviously the fact that the Hulk is pretty uncontrollable. I don't know how we've got away from the Professor Hulk in Endgame. Haven't seen Brave New World, though. I think it's probably going to be something in that. But I thought if you were going to use the Hulk, kill him off. I've heard he's not going to be in Doomsday. Just kill him off. There's a moment where the Hulk is hanging off the side of a building and he's slipping because he's sort of attached to loads of rubble. I thought he was going to sort of intentionally let go and as he falls turn back into Banner and die. that would have been one of the most beautiful moments in the whole film. And I think they were laying it out there so obviously, almost to the point where I would assume that was the plan, but then they just didn't go with it. And I'm not 100% sure why. I think that was a very obvious thing to do, rather than now, Banner is just in a mental institution, which feels like kind of pointless putting him away so we can bring him back out whenever we get like the rights to Hulk again or something. That really frustrated me. So he does fall into that why are they even here category for me. I thought two of the biggest highlights of the whole movie were, one, the Punisher, who is arguably the strongest character in the whole movie aside from Tom. John Bernthal plays the Punisher so well. This is actually my first on-screen sort of seeing the Punisher. I'd seen scenes online before, but it's made me go back and start watching Daredevil because I know the Punisher's in season 2. Then I'll watch the Punisher show. He's such an exciting character and was so funny in this movie. Some of the funniest moments being with Punisher. Things like on his kind of ship house and in the hospital especially was one of the funniest scenes in the movie. And all of his stuff with MJ was so great. I think those two actors work so amazingly together. And then one of the other highlights of the movie I thought was Yelena, played by Florence Pugh. She was great in Thunderbolts. She was great in Black Widow. And she's great in this. She could end up being one of the faces of the MCU. And I think that would be so great. There was such a risk with introducing Black Widow's sister to the MCU that you were just trying to fill the hole that you left with Scarlett Johansson's character death. Not at all. No, Yelena is a totally different character and should be appreciated for totally different reasons. And I think she was so interesting. I thought some of the funniest scenes were with her. Even though she only had 6 minutes of screen time, I would almost go as far as to call her a real show stealer in this movie. So impressive. If she's one of the faces of Doomsday, I'll be really happy. And then finally, of course, one of the most important aspects of Brand New Day was what they were going to do with the MJ and Ned stuff. It was just epic. I thought Ned and MJ, character design-wise, looked amazing. I think MJ had the greatest character design in this whole movie. That sounds really weird to say when you've got a movie with a few superheroes and you think the character design is one of the normal people. No, I think they've transitioned MJ from a teenager into like a woman so well. They've added more makeup to her, which some may say suppresses kind of the raw aspect of a character. I don't think so. I think it makes her look older, which is awesome. I think she's obviously really good looking in this movie. I thought that worked so well. As Tom has developed physically, I think it's so great that they've developed Zendaya's character physically as well. Not only her, Ned looked phenomenal. There was a moment early on in the film when Ned had a goatee. I think that actually looked really cool. It's a shame they didn't go with that for the rest of the movie, but they made him look like not quite, there wasn't quite as big a change with him, but there was enough of a change to recognize and appreciate. With him more so, I think they styled him really, really well. There are a couple moments I think I remember him wearing like some varsity jackets, which make him look older as well. Great stuff. And I think they fit those two characters into the story so neatly to the point where the story wasn't like only about them, but they also weren't like shut out. They had the most appropriate amount of screen time maybe any character has been given it in the MCU. They paced those characters out so well and made the scenes with MJ so tough and so hard to watch in the best way because you feel for Tom so much. But then the Ned scenes are so exciting and you feel like a kid again watching them. You feel like Tom feels. Oh, I keep calling him Tom. I should call him Peter, but you get what I'm saying. I think one of the strongest scenes in the movie was the scene on the Punisher's ship between Zendaya and Spider-Man. All of the scenes between them here were so good, but especially when she finds the letter and does the kind of Peter Quill Gamora thing of being like, I understand why she loved you, but I don't. They went with a different direction with that. They didn't do the I understand why she loves you, but I don't. They did I understand why she loved you, but I am not her. Which some may think means the same thing. I don't think so. I think it leaves the door open a hell of a lot more. And I'll be interested to see if they use MJ in Doomsday. And if not, I really, really hope they bring MJ and Ned back at least in either Secret Wars or the next Spider-Man film, if there's another one before Secret Wars. which I hope there is. Spider-Man has just got really interesting. And I actually disagree with most people. I thought the cliffhanger at the end with Ned as he remembered their little handshake was actually awesome. I liked that they were playing on the difference between sort of physical muscle memory and like a brain memory. Because of course Ned has forgotten who Peter Parker was. But if this is an action he's been doing like 4 years, his body isn't going to forget that just because he forgets the person he's doing it with. I would love to have seen the conversation after that happened, but of course they end the movie there, which was super appropriate, but it's got me really excited for the next Spider-Man project. And then of course finally we can't talk about this movie without talking about Doomsday, without talking about the after credits scene. I'm going to make a whole video leading up to Doomsday because I haven't spoken about it at all, because I do like philosophy and movie videos kind of after the fact. I've never done a pre-movie video, which I'd be really interested to do because I love this franchise right now. But the whole Spidey tracking Spider-Man off-world, kind of like in a different universe, or what I think was kind of in the same universe but in a different location, to me screams that we're going to be getting Battle World at the end of Doomsday and Secret Wars. I'll be honest, I have read the almost certainly confirmed plot leaks for Doomsday. It does look like that's where we're going. For me, the after credit scene all but proved that. It wasn't long enough an after credit scene for me. I was slightly disappointed after sitting through like 10-15 minutes of credits, but okay, it's the last one before Doomsday. Did it get me more excited? Of course it did. I am so hyped for Doomsday. I'm so hyped for them to release a second trailer for that movie. I really hope they will. And it's got me really, 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 really hyped for Spider-Man's place in Doomsday. Obviously, we got the little Spider-Man will return at the end. It didn't say in Avengers Doomsday. There's a lot of reporting saying that Tom Holland's not going to be in Doomsday. I really hope he is. But if he's not, at least have him in Secret Wars. Guys, this movie was a hell of a lot of fun. I'm actually going to go and see it again later, probably. As a more of a movie guy, someone who's been not a huge superhero fan my whole life, I am a huge superhero fan now, but someone who appreciates the real key aspects of filmmaking, this really scratched the itch that I had been really wanting to feel and scratch with the MCU. They're creating grittier movies. That is just where superhero movies are going at the moment. One of my favorite superhero movies of all time, if not my favorite superhero movie of all time, was The Batman. Super, super gritty movie. I understand why people say that movie was too gritty, and I think Spider-Man Brand New Day is a really, really happy medium between the happy-go-lucky MCU style and that dark and gritty, realistic style that a lot of films have been going with in recent years. Rating for this movie. I'm gonna be honest, I think this movie was like an 8 out of 10. I think there were some shortfalls, some things I didn't appreciate, some missed opportunities, but this was the most fun Spider-Man movie of all time. It was the best Spider-Man movie of all time, maybe except from Into the Spider-Verse, which was just perfection. Let's go with second best Spider-Man movie of all time. Best live action Spider-Man movie of all time. It was a hell of a lot of fun. It was a hell of a lot of fun writing the notes. It's been a hell of a lot of fun recording this video. Hell, we're threatening to get back on track a little bit with the scheduling. Let's not jinx it though, people. Love you all. Thank you all for being here. Anyone who watched at the end of the video, you are fucking legends. And yeah, we're getting back into our groove now, people. I'm feeling good. I'm living a bit of a better life. Hey, got a Carhartt t-shirt yesterday. What do we all think? I think it's kind of dope. Got some new sketches as well. Wearing the watch, wearing the ring, wearing the chain. Feeling good, you know. Clean shaven. Feeling good, man. Appreciate you all being here. Love you all. I'll catch you in the next one. Bow, bow, bow!